Welcome to Defense Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: London's mayor tries to unite a city divided by war in Gaza. How geopolitics caught up with Canada. Philippine nurse on surviving the onslaught in Gaza. I smelled rotten flesh. Cory Bernardi's far-right Ukraine stance at odds with Lachlan Murdoch's trip to Kiev. How are younger workers expected to compete with Generation Landlord? London's mayor tries to unite a city divided by war in Gaza. Bloomberg. The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas is having a profound effect on London's diverse population, says the city's mayor, Sadiq Khan. Jewish people are leaving the capital at weekends to avoid pro-Palestinian protests, while Muslims fear attacks on public transport, according to community groups. There has been a 46% increase in hate crimes reported to the Metropolitan Police in October compared with the same month last year. Khan, who is Muslim, said his number one priority was to ease tensions but has faced criticism for his call for a ceasefire. How geopolitics caught up with Canada. Financial Times. Canada's long-held view of itself as a fireproof house is being challenged as the country finds itself entangled in foreign policy dilemmas with India and China. Canada has accused China of interfering in its domestic politics and criticized the Chinese military for flying dangerously close to its aircraft. It has also accused India of being involved in the fatal shooting of a Canadian Sikh. The country is grappling with how to conduct a foreign policy that aligns with its political identity while authoritarian governments gain influence and economic power shifts to Asia. The changing global landscape has led Canada to rely on two principles: defending its sovereignty and employing pragmatic diplomacy to engage with nations with different perspectives to prevent conflicts. Canada is increasing its presence in the Indo-Pacific and boosting its diplomatic and military presence in the region. It is also considering engagement with China and India to stabilize relations. While Canada is taking a firm stance against China's actions, it is also mindful of the need for constructive dialogue. However, the opposition Conservative Party is pressuring Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to be tough on China, which may limit his ability to engage in dialogue. Philippine nurse on surviving the onslaught in Gaza. I smelled rotten flesh. South China Morning Post. Darwin Diaz, a medical coordinator for humanitarian organization Médecins Sans Frontières, MSF, has described his experiences in Gaza during the recent conflict between Israel and Hamas. Diaz, who has worked in other conflict zones such as South Sudan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh, says that Gaza was the worst he has experienced. He highlights the urgent need for medical supplies and humanitarian aid in the area and emphasizes the devastating impact of the conflict on Gaza's hospitals and healthcare system. Diaz was evacuated from Gaza on November 1, 3 weeks after the conflict began. He states that his heart is with the people of Gaza, and if given the opportunity, he would return to help with the rebuilding efforts. Diaz describes the destruction and devastation caused by the conflict, noting that Gaza, which he describes as a beautiful place, has been reduced to rubble. He also highlights the resilience and determination of the people of Gaza, who have experienced war as a part of their lives for generations. Diaz expresses his fear for the people of Gaza, who not only face the immediate danger of bombs but also the long-term consequences of starvation and disease. Despite his fear, Diaz remains committed to his work and helping those in need, stating that if given the chance, he would return to Gaza in a heartbeat. Cory Bernardi's far-right Ukraine stance at odds with Lachlan Murdoch's trip to Kiev. The Sydney Morning Herald. Lachlan Murdoch, the new chair of News Corp and Fox Corp, has visited Ukraine to highlight the ongoing conflict and show support for the country. This comes as anti-Ukraine sentiment grows among far-right circles in the US and Republican-heavy viewers of Fox News. Commentators have criticized those who have peddled anti-Ukrainian sentiment, with one stating that Tucker Carlson should have lost his job for his coverage. Murdoch's visit to Ukraine was accompanied by journalists from the Wall Street Journal and The Sun, and a special program will air this week on Fox News and Sky News. How are younger workers expected to compete with Generation Landlord? ABC. Young Australians are finding it increasingly difficult to save for a house deposit due to rising house prices, precarious forms of employment and stagnant wages. The decline in home ownership among younger people does not stem from laziness or lack of saving ability. It is the result of a changing economy and social landscape. In the past, Australia's social welfare model relied on widespread home ownership and housing was more affordable for unskilled workers. However, since 2001 the national ratio of median house price to median income has almost doubled, and the time required to accumulate a deposit for a typical property has risen from 6 years to 14 years. The financialization of housing and the promotion of landlordism as a welfare strategy have also contributed to the emergence of a generation landlord and the decline of home ownership. These changes are challenging the traditional Australian model of citizenship and the perception of Australia as an egalitarian society. Israel releases 39 Palestinian prisoners in second swap under ceasefire deal. The Sydney Morning Herald. Israel has begun releasing 39 Palestinian prisoners to East Jerusalem and the West Bank as part of a delayed swap. The release of the prisoners comes as part of a truce agreement brokered by international mediators. Israel is set to release 150 Palestinian prisoners, all women and minors, while Hamas is set to release at least 50 Israeli hostages. The truce can be extended an extra day for every additional 10 hostages freed. The truce has brought a temporary pause to the violence that has killed thousands and displaced 3/4 of the population in Gaza. Taiwan poll, DPP senses win with Lai Xiao ticket but Beijing might see war. South China Morning Post. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, in Taiwan is expected to hold on to power in the January elections, but the decision to pair presidential front-runner William Lai Ching-te and Xiao Baikim on a joint ticket could lead to worsening cross-strait relations with China. The Chinese government views Lai and Xiao as pro-independence separatists and has warned that their election could trigger war. Nevertheless, the DPP sees Xiao, a highly regarded politician, as a strong boost to Lai's candidacy, particularly as she is well connected with Washington. SMU earns date in AAC title game but starting QB Stone injured in 59-14 rout of Navy. Associated Press. SMU defeated Navy 59-14 in a game that saw starting quarterback Preston Stone leave the game with an injury in the second quarter. Stone threw for 322 yards and 3 touchdowns before getting hurt. SMU will advance to the American Athletic Conference Championship game against Tulane. Navy will play against Army on December 9. Top 9 places to cry inside the Pentagon. Yahoo! Working at the Pentagon, known for its unattractive and utilitarian design, can be a challenging experience. In response to this, an Army veteran named Drew Duggins asked Twitter users for suggestions on the best places to cry in the Pentagon. Over 100 responses were received, ranging from funny to sad. Some of the suggested places include the parking lot at dawn, a dirty rice-crusted corner table at a restaurant, and the bathroom after getting lost. Other suggestions involved various locations within the building, such as the courtyard, the ramp hallway, and the gift shop. A few humorous suggestions included crying into a burrito bowl and crying at Dunkin' Donuts with a box of Munchkins. Russians launch attack UAVs again, in particular towards Kyiv. Yahoo! On Saturday evening, Russian attack drones were reported near the border of Zaporizhia and Dnipropetrovsk oblasts in Ukraine. The Ukrainian Air Force issued an air raid warning in these regions and later reported that groups of attack drones were moving towards Poltava Oblast and Cherkasy Oblast. An air raid warning was also issued in Kyiv Oblast and the city of Kyiv. This comes after Russia launched a record number of attack drones, 75 in total, towards Ukraine on November 25. And that's a wrap for today's news. We've covered a wide range of topics, from the efforts of London's mayor to unite a divided city to the challenges Canada is facing in its foreign policy. We also heard the harrowing account of a Philippine nurse in Gaza, learned about Lachlan Murdoch's visit to Ukraine, and discussed the difficulties young Australians face in saving for a house deposit. We also touched on the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the upcoming elections in Taiwan, and the latest in college football. Now, let's dive a little deeper into some of these stories. The conflict in Gaza has had a profound impact on London's diverse population, with Jewish people leaving the capital to avoid protests and Muslims fearing attacks on public transport. London Mayor Sadiq Khan is working to ease tensions but has faced criticism for his call for a ceasefire. It's a delicate situation, but I have hope that with open dialogue and understanding, the city can find unity. Canada is also facing challenges in its foreign policy, as it navigates its relationship with China and India. The changing global landscape has forced Canada to defend its sovereignty while engaging in pragmatic diplomacy. It's a delicate balancing act, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is under pressure from the opposition Conservative Party to take a tougher stance on China. It will be interesting to see how Canada continues to navigate these complex relationships. In Gaza, a medical coordinator for Doctors Without Borders, Darwin Diaz, shared his experiences during the recent conflict. He described the destruction and devastation he witnessed, emphasizing the urgent need for medical supplies and aid. Diaz's dedication to helping those in need is truly inspiring, and it serves as a reminder of the importance of humanitarian efforts in times of crisis. On a lighter note, we discovered that even working at the Pentagon can be challenging, with its unattractive design and utilitarian feel. An Army veteran took to Twitter to ask for suggestions on the best places to cry in the building, and the responses ranged from funny to sad. It's good to see that even in a serious setting, people can find humor and support from their peers. Overall, today's news has highlighted the importance of unity, understanding, and perseverance in the face of adversity. Whether it's the efforts of a mayor to unite a divided city, a nurse's dedication to helping those in need, or the resilience of individuals in challenging situations, we can all learn from these stories. So, let's keep the conversation going. What are your thoughts on today's news? Do you have any questions or additional insights? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.